I just wanted to do a quick demo so you could see that in actual fact, you can paint with 3 colors and get yourself a pretty nice looking picture at the end of it. I'm using alizarin crimson, Hansa yellow, and French ultramarine blue. And if you look at these, they go together and they combine and make really useful colors that you can get your purple, you can get your orange, you can get your green out of the red, yellow, and blue. So here we go. I have taken the liberty of tracing the pattern out first. I use the one brush. I just use the black gold number 2 mop. I use a sponge so that I don't have to use paper towel and my painting stays wet. Usually this is the palette that I use with the 12 colors, but I just wanted to make sure you could see that you could actually do this with just 3 colors. So I'm going to go fairly quickly. In a class, we wouldn't be going quite this quickly. Okay, so here we go. I'll put this over here. All right, so the big deal with all of this is to make sure that when you paint something that you don't paint it too close to the next thing, otherwise it will just run one thing into the next. I'm going to go ahead and paint the green leaves with water so that the sizing on the paper starts to kind of blend away. I'll go get some yellow, and I just use this little piece of Coroplast in order to blend this in. So there. So the more water you use on your brush and on your paints, the lighter the color will be. I'm just going to go ahead and put most of this in here with some yellow. Notice how I'm not being overly careful because it's not that important that it be perfect, right? The lines are there. I inked it in with a Sharpie. So there we go. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to go get a little bit of our French ultramarine blue here and bring it over here. And when I put this French ultramarine blue directly onto here, it goes ahead on its own and blends together and makes this lovely green color. And so I don't have to do a whole lot with this. If I wanted a little bit darker green, I just go get a little bit more of the French ultramarine blue and put that in there, and it's going to go ahead and blend. And if you also notice, I'm not fussing and doing a whole lot of fussing with this stuff, because if I trust the medium, which I do, it's going to go ahead and make its green. I don't have to pre-mix this stuff. It's going to go ahead and make its green directly onto here. All right, now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to put my centers into here, and I kind of want them sort of an orangey kind of color so you can sort of see that, what I'm doing. And again, I'm going to go put some yellow on there, a little bit of yellow. Okay, I'm going to go in and I'm just putting it on one section. Wash that out, tap it onto my sponge, and I'll go get some of my alizarin crimson. And when I put the alizarin crimson together with the yellow, what color do you think I'm going to get? If I put red and yellow together, I'm going to get an orange color. And so I'm just leaving that on there, and I'm going to let it go ahead and do its job. I may put a little tiny bit more of the red here in this corner so that I get 3 colors. And I'm going to make it a little purpler, so I'll just use a little tiny bit of that blue so I get a really good dark color. All right, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to paint the body of this, and I'm not all that worried about whether or not this blends into here because there's going to be a bit of shadowing going on here anyway. So I'll go in, and the bigger the area, the more likely I am to go in and dampen the area first with water. I'm just going to use some of this blue that I've got here on this edge because I just kind of want a shadowy kind of color so that it makes this look, woo, and I didn't even wet that ahead of time. All right. And as soon as I add some color onto this edge, all of a sudden it starts to make this look like it's going to be rounded. And we'll go over here on this side. And if you notice, I'm also not kind of really spending a lot of time worrying about what colors I'm using to do this with. I just want this to look like it's got a bit of a shadow over the edge. All right, and I want to anchor this thing sitting down in here. So if I go and put some water on here, there we go, and I put some yellow on here, and then I put a little bit of blue on here, and a little bit of red on here. When I put those three colors together, I kind of get a browny, darky, blacky, icky, muddy, whatever color, and it will sort of blend up into this vase, which I like. That kind of helps to anchor this in. I'm going to go up here to the top, and remember, I'm going kind of fast for this because this is just a demo. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to dampen these, and I'm going to allow this, because this isn't completely dry up here, I'm going to just allow, see, the moment I touch that, woohoo, it just wants to share. The minute you have breached the gap for this, it's just going to want to share. And all of a sudden, I pretty much have my painted flower. I'm going to use this one as a white flower. This one down here, I'm going to turn into my red flower. So here we go. I'll go get a bit of my alizarin crimson. I bring it out here, and you can see when I put it on here how wishy-washy it is, or how dark it is. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to paint in this whole area with kind of wet-ish paint. And there we go. I'll go get a bit more of the raw paint and put some in here up at the top, because it'll be darker where it attaches onto the little part in the middle here. And see how this is turning into orange and yellow and red? So I end up with these three colors without really doing any of the work. I'm going to get a little tiny bit of blue here. Ooh, a bit too much blue, so I'll tap this out. Here's my red. I'm just going to get a little tiny bit of blue on here so it really darkens this color up here so that it's darker up here. And if I decide I want this to be a little pinker on this edge, I just take my brush after I've really kind of tapped it off so that I don't have a lot of water on it. And now all of a sudden I have kind of a pinky color. And the last one that we did up here was yellow, just so that we could see that we were doing three colors. So I went up here and painted the yellow onto it. Whoop, there it goes. It just touched that. It still wasn't dry. And how do you know if it's not dry? You know it's not dry because it'll be shiny. And if it's shiny, it's going to want to share. All right, so now I've got my yellow. I can put a bit more darker yellow on some of these edges. Right. And I'll use the same red in here. Go ahead and put this in here. And notice I'm not up here fixing, fussing, doing, whatevering. All right. And on the other one, we had used the red as the edge here. And I don't want to wet this because I don't really want to share it too much with the vase that's down here that's probably still pretty damp because I'm painting pretty fast. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put some more darker color on here. All of a sudden, I've got this three-tone, and this painting is going to paint itself for me. And to just sort of make that look like that's the round part in the middle, again, I'm going to add a little tiny bit of that blue onto here so that this darkens this on this edge. And poof. And then, of course, I always like to add a little tiny bit of pizzazz to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add some watered down paint and just splash it on there. And all of a sudden, we have ourselves a very cool painting. So there it is, and you can do this with 3 paints, nothing else, and away you go. So give it a try. You don't need a lot of watercolor paint or a lot of watercolor anything in order to do these classes. Hope to see you in class.